You've got the record of death, so you know where and when your ancestor died. But were they buried or cremated, and where? If you have a subscription to one of the family tree websites, look there first. I have subscriptions to both Ancestry and Find My Past, and they both have extensive burial collections, although they are different. I have found more burial records for my ancestors on Find My Past than I have on Ancestry, but it does depend on the counties that you're interested in. Now, you might think that there would be a single searchable database for burials and cremations over, say, the last 100 years, but sadly you'd be very mistaken. Nothing in genealogy is that simple. In this video, I'm going to suggest a number of resources to look at. So where to start? There are 4 dedicated burial and cremation websites that I tend to use. Start with findagrave.com. It's pretty easy to search, and if the record you want is listed, you can request a photograph of the headstone if there isn't one already, and a volunteer will take one for you and upload it to the website. The website's entirely free to use, but you will need to set up an account if you want to request photographs. If the graveyard isn't well serviced by volunteers or there isn't a plot number, you may have to wait some time for your request to be fulfilled. Also, be aware that having a plot number doesn't necessarily mean there'll be a headstone. I'll explain more later in this video. As an aside, I think the website is a little misleading because where they state the number of memorials in a given graveyard, this actually refers to the number that have been added to the website by the volunteers. As an example, in this graveyard, only 23 memorials are recorded. Now, this is a cemetery I have some knowledge of, and I'm sure there are more than 23 people buried there. Next up is deceasedonline.com. This is the official database of statutory burial and cremation registers for the UK. It works directly with certain local government authorities, private cemeteries and crematoria to digitise and index official archives. Look at the coverage link to see what records they have. You can do a basic search for free, but you'll need to set up an account to use the advanced search facility, and you'll need to pay to access images. This is a good website to use if you're looking for cremations, although be aware there are large gaps. Some other local authorities, private cemeteries and crematoria have chosen to hold their records on discovereverafter.com. It's easy to search and is completely free. You'll get some information about the burial, a list of other people buried close by which could be of interest, and in some cases a plot number, and very occasionally a photograph of the headstone. If you find who you're looking for, you can send an email to ask if a photograph could be added. I haven't done this myself, so I'm not sure how successful this is. Finally, you have billiongraves.com. This website is unique in that all the graves listed have photographs of the headstones. You can set up an account for free, and this allows you to view pixelated images of the headstones, but you'll need a paid subscription to view them properly. Like findagrave.com, they rely on volunteers to take the photographs and upload them. If you know that your ancestor was buried in a certain cemetery, but the headstone has not been photographed, you can make a request, which with some luck will be picked up by a volunteer. But as before, I haven't tried this myself. As an example of missing records, at over 320,000 cremations, Golders Green Crematorium in North London has performed the most cremations in the UK, but it does not officially share its records with any of the family history or burial and cremation websites. That said, check findagrave.com and billiongraves.com, as volunteers have documented and photographed a few of the memorials. Now keep in mind that these websites are all a work in progress, so don't be too surprised if you don't get any results. I'd estimate that for my ancestors, I get lucky around 30% of the time. So if you've exhausted the records I've suggested so far, where do you look next? I'd start by checking with the parish council where you suspect your ancestor was buried. My local parish council holds burial lists, plot numbers, and a map of the graveyard on their website, but this is by no means standard, and you may have to ask at the borough council level. If they don't hold the records, they may direct you to the local county archive, where typically you'll find a whole range of useful information for family historians. Most of these local archives have online catalogues, so you can check what they hold before you book a visit. If you're unable to visit, many offer a paid research service. Then there's the Family History Federation. From their website you can find a list of the 180 or so local family history societies. The individual societies are run independently, so the collections they hold will vary. Then there is GEN UKI, which stands for Genealogy for the United Kingdom and Ireland. This is organised on a county basis, and again each is run independently, so the collections will vary. If these organisations do not hold the burial information that you're looking for, they may be able to suggest where you should look. Regardless, both organisations hold extremely useful information for family historians. Now, of course, all these websites assume that the records still exist, and where they exist, the headstones are readable, but of course often this is just not the case. I have spent many an hour wandering around graveyards looking for headstones that just weren't there. If your ancestors were poor, they may not have been able to afford a headstone, or if they simply erected a wooden cross, this would have disintegrated over time. Older headstones, especially those made from limestone or sandstone, are prone to weathering, and it's possible that the headstone is there, but that it's just unreadable. Lack of maintenance is another issue, and some graves are in a very sad state. So even if the graveyard is listed on one of the websites that I've mentioned, unreadable graves are unlikely to have been attributed to anyone, and finding a photograph is unlikely. Many municipal cemeteries are running out of space to accommodate new burials, so by law and under certain conditions, the graves can legally be reclaimed. In this case, the bodies are exhumed, the plot is redug to a deeper depth, the original body is reinterred, and a new coffin is laid above. And finally, if an old cemetery closes permanently and is sold to, say, a property developer, the status of the land changes and the bodies must be reinterred at an active cemetery, in which case the grave may not be where you expect. From the 1950s onwards, cremation became more popular, especially in large cities, because graveyards were filling up. By the late 1960s, cremation surpassed traditional burials, and today over 80% of deceased people are cremated. Because families frequently scatter ashes themselves, or scatter them in the crematorium's garden of remembrance, your search for a physical memorial may come to nothing. Hopefully you've got some useful information from watching this video, so I'll bring it to an end by giving you my top 3 tips. Number 1, like pretty much all of genealogy, there isn't a one-stop shop, and you may have to look in multiple places to find what you're looking for. Number 2, where they exist, sign up for alerts to tell you when new content has been added to a burial's website. And number 3, accept that the headstone or memorial that you're looking for may simply not exist. I hope you've enjoyed this video and that you've learned enough about burials and cremations. Please don't forget to like, subscribe and share this video with anyone else you know who is exploring their UK ancestors. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time.